going to talk about midpoint, and the basic idea behind midpoint, it is the middle point on a segment. So if you look at this segment right here, you can kind of see probably it's 6 long, which means the midpoint would be about right here, which means both sides would be 3 and 3. If I can make my pen work here. I'm doing this one with my mouse instead of my pen, so it's a little harder. But so that's the midpoint, and we often say that the midpoint bisects the segment because it cuts it into 2 parts. So out here, it's a little, you can still probably see this as 5, and so the midpoint would be here at like 2.5 and 2.5. But the problem is, do I know what the coordinates of that are? Like, because I actually started at, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I started at 8 right here. So this is actually 9. This actually here is actually 10. If I can draw a 10, it's going to be ugly. 10 and a half. And it would be nice to be able to figure that out without having to count. It would also be nice to be able to do that if the numbers were really gigantic. I didn't have to do it on the grid. So one of the ways we can essentially do this is just average the 2 endpoints. So like I can kind of see it's right there because this one down here is only 4 long, so 2 and 2. But if I actually wanted to calculate that point, rather than counting, if I knew for a fact that, and I'm just doing the x coordinates right now, if I knew for a fact this is at 5, so pretend I didn't have to just count just then, and I knew the endpoint was 9, one of the ways that I can find out what that coordinate of the x coordinate is just to average those two. It's just to add them together and divide by 2. So 5 plus 9 and divide it by 2. And 5 plus 9 divided by 2 is 14 divided by 2. And oh yeah, that is the 7 that I was expecting when I split my 2 and 2. Now I'm going somewhere with this. Now notice that this same thing will work. We're just going to consider the y coordinates here. So right here I can see, oh yeah, this is 3 long, so that's the midpoint. And since I started at 0, this is basically 1.5 up. Okay, so it's right there. And let's see if my trick works again. So I'm starting at 2, and I'm going up to 6. And once again, for small numbers, this doesn't matter. But if we can figure out this pattern, we can use it for anything. So 2 plus 6 divided by 2, that's going to be 8 divided by 2. So that point right there is 8 divided by 2, because I'm adding the 2 and the 6 together. And that's going to be 4, which is exactly what it is. And once again, you can visually see it's 4 going up from the x-axis, but it's nice to know that pattern works. And then out here, once again, I'm going from 1 up to 6 again. And when I add the 6 and the 1 together, I get 7, and 7 halves, 7 divided by 2, which is basically 3.5, which is exactly where that point right there is. Okay, so if we want to find the midpoint, we add them together and divide by 2. And obviously, if we want to find how long it is, we subtract the number. So that's like here, 6 minus 2, it's 4 long. And then if I divide it by 2, it would tell me how long a half was. So like, you know, this part's 2 and this part's 2, because 6 minus 2 is 4. This whole thing's 4, but then half is going to be 2 and 2. Now, if we had 2 coordinates, does it change at all? Well, once again, visually I can see this is right here, and this is, I don't know, 2 squared plus 1 squared, square root of 5 long. And this right here, once again, I can kind of tell the middle's about right here. It's a little harder for me to tell exactly how long that is, but I can kind of tell where the midpoint is. I'd like to know those coordinates, and I could probably estimate them. That looks like a negative 4.5 on my x, and a negative 3.5 on my y, so I could tell you what that is. And same thing here, but there seems like there should be a better way. And actually, we can combine these 2 tricks, and I'm almost actually done. Okay, so on the next line, this is our midpoint formula. Our midpoint formula basically says, well, if you average your x's, that'll tell you how far it's going left to right, from here to here, okay, from there to there, badly drawn. That will, if I average that x with this x, that gives me this point right here. And then if I go top to bottom, if I take my y and my other y, You know, that right there will give me that point. So essentially you're averaging them both. And you can do it probably, I want you to do it on this one. Tell me what the coordinates are. So I want to know what that point is. See if you can do it by averaging the points. This is, what's that, 4? No, it's 2, 4. 2, 4. If I can draw, that's going to be a problem. 4. And this may become a mess. And it's going to become a mess. Okay, 2, 4. And the other point up there is 4, 6. Now, I've taken so long to draw this, you probably already figured out what that point is without me having to do this. But imagine if it was 200, 400, and 400, 600. It would be a little harder to be certain. Okay, I'm going to let you do this one on your own. So once again, we're interested in the coordinates. And this one right here, so there's that point. I'm going to draw these in for you, if I can. That is 5, -5, and -1. And I want you to see that it works with negative numbers. And this one down here is 5 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a +5 for the x-coordinate and a -6 for the y-coordinate. Okay, sorry that took so long. Oops, and if I can make the 6. That's a 6. Come on, 6. The ugliest 6 of all time. Okay, 5, -6. Sorry about that. I left my pen at school. Thanks.